Hello everyone. Let's continue the class. In our previous discussion, we had learned about the foundation and growth of Chola Empire. So, Chola Empire, which was founded in the year 850 Common Era by a person named Vijayalaya, and we don't know that Cholas, who had founded this empire in the year 850 Common Era, were the same Cholas who had ruled the Tamil land earlier during the time of Sangam period. While Chola rulers, they were the sovereign rulers, and they believed in the concentration of power within their own hands, except for villages. While they gave to their villages greater degree of autonomy. Otherwise, at the central and the provincial level, even at the district level, administration was completely under the control of authorities. Okay, so Chola emperor or the king was at the top of the administration, at the top of the administration, and the extent and resources of the Chola Empire increased the power and prestige of the monarchy. So Chola rulers, they came to be immensely benefited because of their internal as well as long distance trading relations, internal as well as long distance trading relations with the regions of Southeast Asia, China, and Arabia Peninsula. Okay. And also because of surplus of production and other artistic and commercial activities. And the Chola rulers, they founded the established big cities or commercial and administrative or political centers like Tanjore. While Tanjore was the capital Tanjore was the capital of the Cholas, and there at Tanjore, a Chola ruler named Rajaraja first got constructed a huge temple called Brihadeshwara Temple. Brihadeshwara Temple by a Chola ruler Rajaraja first. This temple is also known as Rajrajeshwara Temple, Brihadeshwara Temple, or dedicated to Brihad Ishwara or Lord Shiva. And main temple tower of this temple is the tallest ever temple tower constructed in the history of India. So this is the tallest temple of our country, Brihadeshwara temple at Tanjore or Thanjavur. And besides the image or icon of Lord Shiva, main deity of the temple, this ruler Rajaraja first, he had installed his own image, and installation of image of the king besides the image of the favorite deity means the king claimed that he himself was like a god or representative of the god who was ruling the kingdom on behalf of Lord Shiva. It means the king claims some sort of divine power or divine origin ruling the empire on the orders of Lord Shiva. And Rajaraja's son Rajendra first got established a new city, a new capital city called Gangai Konda Cholapuram. Gangai Konda Cholapuram, a city founded by Rajendra first, the most prominent among all the Chola rulers. And Rajendra first invaded North India and inflicted a crushing defeat on the ruler of Bengal and Bihar, Pala ruler of Bengal and Bihar, the ruler who belonged to Pala dynasty, and he was defeated by Rajendra first. and this had occasionally happened that a South Indian ruler had defeated a North Indian ruler, because most of the time North Indian rulers invaded South India territories. So for that reason, to celebrate and to commemorate his victory, Rajendra I Chola hold a title, the conqueror of river Ganges. Conqueror of river Ganges. It means Tamil में Gangai Konda. Gangai Konda. Gangai means river Gange. Konda means conqueror. Conqueror of river Ganges, when he had defeated the Pala ruler of Bihar and Bengal. And when he returned back to his native place there, to commemorate his victory, he established or founded a new city called Gangai Konda Chola Puram, and the large royal courts, then extensive grant to the temples. ये सब क्यों कर रहे हैं? तो चोला रूलर राजेंद्र फर्स्ट, उसने गंगई कोंडा चोलापुरम शहर बनवाया, and also he got constructed a massive temple there called Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple. So this temple at Gangai Konda Cholapuram is not as massive or big as that of temple at Tanjore, Brihadeshwara temple, constructed on the orders of his father Rajaraja I. But sculpturally, Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple surpasses the previous one or Brihadeshwara temple. Okay. So Rajaraja first and Rajendra first were two prominent Chola rulers. Rajaraja first got constructed Brihadeshwara temple, and Rajendra first got established Gangai Konda Cholapuram city and a temple called Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple. And they undertook yatra, royal tours to increase the efficiency of the administration, and higher officials were called Perundaram and Sirundaram. Higher officials were called Perundaram and Sirundaram. And say this one, a massive temple in order to get legality or legitimacy to rule. So this temple, which is the tallest ever temple constructed on the orders of Rajaraja first. This temple is called Brihadeshwara temple. Brihadeshwara temple. Okay, the tallest ever temple. The tallest temple of India, and dedicated to Lord Shiva, and the ruler Rajaraja first. Okay, constructed by राजराजा फर्स्ट. तो राजराजा फर्स्ट ने अपनी मूर्ति भी लगवाई इस मंदिर में, लीगलिटी टू रूल, लेजिटिमेसी टू रूल एंड टू क्लेम डिवाइन origin of the king. And his son Rajendra first. So Rajendra first, when he established a city called Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple, there he got constructed a temple as well called Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple, and this temple is though not as massive or tall as that of previous one Brihadeshwara temple, but sculpturally Gangai Konda Cholapuram temple is more beautiful than this one Brihadeshwara temple. And also, to facilitate increasing volume of trade, local as well as long distance trade, the Chola rulers they struck and circulated not only silver and copper coins but also gold coins. So these these gold coins are the coins of Rajaraja first coin. ठीक है ना? तो इन सिक्के भी ये चला रहे हैं गोल्ड कॉइन्स. gold coins to facilitate, mainly to facilitate long distance trading relationship with the regions of Southeast Asia, China and Arabia. And uh, legitimacy to rule. Yesterday, while we were talking about legitimacy, many ways to prove their legitimacy. So according to Chola inscriptions, there were 5 types of land grants that Chola kings gave to their people to get legitimacy to rule. First one, Vellanvagai was the land for non-Brahman peasant proprietors, while another one was Brahmdev was a land gifted to Brahmins, and Shalabhoga was the land for the maintenance of schools and colleges, Pathshala, and Devadana or Tirunamat Tirun Mattukani. Tirun Mattukani was land gifted to temples. So Vellanvagai, Brahmadev, शालभोग एंड देवदान. ये हमने लिखा था. एंड द प्रोविंशियल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, the Chola Empire was divided into provinces, but and usually members of the royal family, royal princes, they were appointed as the provincial governors called Prantpati, provincial governor, and provinces were known as Mandalam or provinces. Okay, so Mandalam further divided into districts or Valnadus under Periyanathar and Nadus or Tehsil governed by or under Nathar, Periyanathar and Nathar, and villages. So the Chola rulers, they never tried to interfere into the administration of the villages, and they provided to their villages greater degree of autonomy, like we are providing today through 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment. And we have added the provisions of democratic decentralization of power at the village level called village panchayat, and also in the urban centers called nagar nigam. ठीक है ना. तो बिल्कुल वैसे ही उस जमाने में तो ये विलेज ऑटोनॉमी दिया चोलास ने. तो मंडलम divided into Valnadus, and every Valnadu was further divided into Nadu, and every Nadu into several villages, or villages में जबरदस्त autonomy, and village affairs were governed by 6 committees called Varium. 6 committees or Varium, like संवत्सर वारियम, ईरी वारियम, तोट्टा वारियम ना. तो 6 कमेटी होती थी एक गांव में, और हर कमेटी में 5 लोग होते थे, 5 members and 6 committees, and every committee contained or composed of 5 members. So there was a board of 30 members to govern all the affairs of the villages, and they were elected. Members were elected by means of a lottery system, and there were norms of qualification and disqualification. So like the Chola village autonomy, the system of village autonomy with Sabha or Varium and their committees developed through the ages, but reached at culmination during the Cholas. And these two inscriptions are very, very important. Parantaka first we have recovered from Uttar Merur. So Uttar Merur inscription. Uttar Merur inscription provides details of the formation and functions of village councils. यहां से हमें पता चलता है Uttar Merur inscriptions of the Chola ruler Parantak first, and the village was divided into 30 wards, 30 wards, and each was to nominate its members to the village council, and the qualification to become a ward member were देखिए ownership of at least one fourth valley of land, valley the unit of land measurement, and must own residence and knowledge of at least one Veda. तो तीन ये norms थे qualification, one fourth valley of land, own residence and knowledge of Vedas. And also there were norms of disqualification, like those who had been members of the committee for the past 3 years. अगर 3 साल से member हैं committee के तो फिर election में नहीं आएंगे. So those who had failed to submit accounts as committee members, and third, those who had committed sins, those who had committed sins and stolen property of others, so they were disqualified. And lottery system election, there was not like direct election, but a lottery system was there, and names of eligible persons were written on palm leaves and put into a pot, and a young boy or girl would take out 30 names each for one ward, and they were divided into 6 varium or committees like Samvatsar Variam, Iri Variam, Totta Variam, Pancha Variam, Purva Variam, to take up 6 different functions of the village administration. 6 committees, 6 different functions, and every committee was composed of 5 members. So they usually met in the temple or under a tree, and they passed resolutions for what to do, for what not to do as well. ठीक है, तो लॉटरी सिस्टम का था प्रोविजन. एंड नाउ लेट्स सी अबाउट देयर सोशियो इकोनॉमिक लाइफ. सोशियो इकोनॉमिक लाइफ. So the Chola rulers, they had maintained a powerful navy. Powerful navy. Objective of this powerful navy was to provide backup or to provide security mainly to the long distance trading relation. So the Chola traders, they not only established trading relations with the Southeast Asian regions, but also to China. So traders, maritime traders, they needed powerful security, and that security backup was provided by the Chola navy maintained by the Chola rulers. So Chola rulers, they are known in the history of India not only for their village autonomy, but also for powerful navy they had maintained. Okay. तो और इसको फैसिलिटेट करने के लिए ये राजा, ये लोग कॉइन्स इशू करते थे, मेनली गोल्ड कॉइन्स कॉल्ड कहवानू. कहवानू, gold coins to facilitate long distance trading relations. So Cholas established Southeast Asia, China, and Arabs. Okay, and to facilitate this amount of trade and commerce, mainly long distance trade and commerce, Chola rulers, they issued, they struck and circulated gold coins called Kahavanus. gold coins for heavy transaction, not for day-to-day transaction, for heavy transaction and for long distance trading relations. Okay, ये लिखिएगा. Chola established long distance trade with Southeast Asia, China and Arab regions, and to facilitate this long distance trade or international mat लिखिएगा. There was nothing like the concept of nation during Middle Ages. Long distance trading relationship, and to facilitate long distance trading relationship, the Chola rulers, in particular Rajaraja I and Rajendra I, they issued and circulated gold coins called Kahawanus. And see, this is what Chola chambers of commerce looked like. Okay, तो चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स यानी कि गिल्ड और श्रेणी, and we came to know about the guilds of Cholas from a temple inscription called, a place we have recovered from a place called Kamrasavalli. Kamrasavalli temple inscription mentions guilds. Kamrasavalli temple inscription mentions guilds. Okay. Guild or institution. Guild means, we have already studied a lot about the guilds, functioning of the guilds during our discussion of socio-economic life during the time of second urbanization and onwards. So institution of guild or shreni was a group of artisans of same profession. Institution of guild or shreni was a group of artisans of same profession. एक ही प्रोफेशन का काम करने वाले, एक ही शिल्प का काम करने वाले शिल्पकारों का एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, एक समूह. And the guild, Chola guilds, not only they procured raw materials, so guilds procured raw materials. Okay, they ensured quality control, raw materials, quality control, organized markets, बाजार, fixation of prices, raw materials, quality control, organization of market to sell their manufactured goods and services, and fixation of prices. Okay. इसके अलावा to organize training sessions for new members Okay, so guilds or Chola guilds, not only Chola guilds but all the guilds of all the period, they played a very important or crucial role for trade and commerce for the economy as a whole. Then Chola guilds also, like any other guild, were involved in procuring, raising funds, procuring raw materials, then ensure quality control, then organize markets, or they held market to sell their manufactured goods, and before selling their manufactured goods they also fix the prices of their commodities and services. And from time to time Chola guilds organize training sessions for new members. We came to know about the Chola Chamber of Commerce or guilds from Kamrasa Valli temple inscription. So this one is very, very important and the most important source to know anything about the economy or Chola Chamber of anything about Chola Chamber of Commerce. Kamrasa Valli temple inscription. तो ये लिखिएगा कि फंड रेज करना, टू रेज फंड, to procure raw materials, quality control, organized markets, fixation of prices, and training session for newly admitted members. तो ये सब काम होता था चोला चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स का. लिखा raw materials, quality control, organization of market, fixation of prices, and organizing training session for new members, and they also perform several charity works. चैरिटी वर्क्स भी करते थे, कॉल्ड लाइक प्रेजेंट डे मॉडर्न डे कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, CSR, corporate social responsibility, like opening up of schools and colleges, construction of ponds or canals, and to take care of poor, needy and widows. ये सारा काम ये देखा करते थे फॉर द सोशियो इकोनॉमिक लाइफ. आगे देखते हैं. Reclamation of forest lands and construction and maintenance of irrigation tanks. This one is very important. ये सारे points note down करिएगा. Reclamation of forest lands and construction and maintenance of irrigation tanks led to agricultural prosperity. The weaving industry, particularly the silk weaving at Kanchi, flourished. Just note down all these four important points. थोड़ा जल्दी लिखिएगा. This one is very important. Silk weaving at Kanchi, cotton and silk cloths. And metal work. मेटल वर्क में मेनली ब्रॉन्ज ब्रॉन्ज वर्क एंड दिस चोला पीरियड is remarkable for the construction of bronze images of Lord Shiva. Bronze image of नटराज. ठीक है ना, इस बात के लिए चोला पीरियड जाना जाता. चोला पीरियड इज सेड टू बी रिमार्केबल पीरियड फॉर प्रोड्यूसिंग bronze images of Lord Shiva, the king of the dancers or divine dancer called Nataraj. Okay. Bronze images or commercial contacts between the Cholas and China, Java, Sumatra, Southeast Asia, and Arabian Peninsula. And all these happened because of their powerful navy. Their merchants, their maritime merchants were backed by a very good or a powerful navy. This Chola period is remarkable for bronze image of Nataraj, a divine dancer. A form of Lord Shiva. So Chola artisans, they produced hundreds and thousands of images of Nataraj. So every house started accommodating or having this image, and Shiva or Nataraj being the most favorite deity of the Tamil people. तो एक तो ये इमेज हो गया. इसके अलावा ब्रॉन्ज के बर्तन, ठीक है ना, ब्रॉन्ज के इमेजेस और ब्रॉन्ज यूटेंसिल्स, कांसे के बर्तन, इसके लिए पीरियड जाना गया. Okay. So reclamation of forest land and construction and maintenance of irrigation tanks led to agricultural prosperity. Weaving industry, particularly the silk weaving, at Kanchi flourished, and metal work, but mainly of bronze developed owing to the great demand of images of Lord Shiva or Nataraj for temples, and apart from images of bronze images of deities, bronze utensils, metal, copper utensils were also produced. And long distance trading relations or commercial contacts of Cholas with China, Southeast Asia, and Arabia. And caste system, apart from Varna system, caste system was widely prevalent during the Chola period. Caste system was widely prevalent during the Chola period, and there were two major divisions among the castes: Valangai and Idangai. Valangai, Valangai, Ilangai या Irangai caste. Okay? तो देर फिर भी देखिए थोड़े हद तक तो कॉपरेशन है ही है, कॉपरेशन सम सॉर्ट ऑफ, नॉट ग्रेटर डिग्री ऑफ, सम सॉर्ट ऑफ कॉपरेशन अमंग वेरियस कास्ट्स and subcastes in social and religious life. And position of women did not improve because of increasing warfare, increasing number of wars, and increasing patriarchy, patrilineal, and patrilocal tendencies. Condition or position of women did not improve, and the practice of sati was common. Practice of sati was common, but mainly among the royal families and not among the commoners. ठीक है, तो आम आदमी तो वैसे ही हालत खराब थी, किसी तरह से अपना गुजारा कर पाता था, वो सती क्या होएगा, ठीक है ना। तो इस सती वगैरह का ट्रेंड ना अपर कास्ट या रूलिंग फैमिली में ज्यादा हुआ करता था। एंड देवदासी सिस्टम of dancing girls attached to the temples emerged during this period, और इन्हें पूरे लाइफ टाइम टेम्पल्स में ही रहना होता था। टेम्पल डांसर्स, देवदासी और टेम्पल डांसर्स। Okay, so though for religious purpose, but still this practice was not in favor of women, or ये तो it was a kind of exploitation in the name of religion. Okay, ये सारे पॉइंट लिखिएगा, चारों पॉइंट्स। ये याद रखिएगा, वलंगे कास्ट एंड इडंगे कास्ट, अपर कास्ट एंड लोअर कास्ट। तो वर्ण व्यवस्था तो था ही। अपार्ट फ्रॉम वर्ण सिस्टम, इवन साउथ इंडिया सोसाइटी लाइक नॉर्थ इंडिया was further divided into number of castes and subcastes, and practice of untouchability was not uncommon, है ना। So, a sizable section of lower caste was considered to be untouchables. For example, Ijhava and Pulayans. Ijhava and Pulayans. So Ijhava and Pulayans were considered to be so impure, apavitra, polluted, that Brahmins maintained some sort of distance with the Ijhavas and Pulayans. कि तो इजावा से 16 फीट और पुलयन से 32 फीट का डिफरेंस मेंटेन किया करते थे, खासकर ब्राह्मण्स, नंबूदरी, like Nambudiri Brahmins, they maintain a minimum distance of 16 feet against Ijavas and 32 feet against Pulayans. So society was not in a very good condition. Society was fragmented or divided into pieces, and there was a tendency of superiority among the members of upper caste, Volangai caste, and there were several lower caste or Idangai caste. And cooperation, though cooperation existed there, but cooperation, there was nothing like greater degree of cooperation, and position of women did not improved, and the practice of sati was prevalent, but among the royal families and mainly confined among the members of upper caste. ठीक है. Now, see, this is all about Chola Empire. Now let's talk about another big empire which was founded by two brothers during the time of the Sultan of the Delhi Sultanate named Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And it is said that those two brothers named Harihar and Bukka, they were the officials of the Delhi Sultanate. And finally, in 1336, they founded for themselves an independent kingdom of Vijayanagara or Vijayanagar Empire or Karnataka Samrajyamu. Karnataka Samrajyamu or Vijayanagar Empire. So during the time of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, who proved himself to be an ill-steered idealist and not a practical statesman, and not only he had conquered but also annexed South India territories, and his arms reached up to Madurai. So entire South India became an integral part of the Delhi Sultanate, and to control North India as well as South India, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he decided to transfer his capital from Delhi to Daulatabad, and he thought that Daulatabad possibly occupied the central position of his empire or of his kingdom, and it would be easier for him to control not only North India but also South India from Daulatabad. But this plan was a total failure and later on abandoned. And it really became very, very difficult for Sultan Muhammad bin Tughlaq to control South India from Delhi. And thus, one by one, several kingdoms or smaller kingdoms or dynasties were formed or established by the officials of the Delhi Sultanate. Like in 1336, Karnataka Samrajyamu was founded or established by two brothers named Harihar and Bukka. And 11 years later, in 1347, in the Deccan, another empire, another kingdom was established by Hassan Gangu named Bahmani Kingdom. So Bahmani Kingdom and Vijayanagar kingdoms were established during the time of the Sultan of the Delhi Sultanate named Muhammad bin तुगलक। Okay. देखिए विजयनगर एम्पायर ओरिजिनली नोन एज कर्नाटका साम्राज्यमु, Karnataka Samrajyamu, and language of this Karnataka Samrajyamu was Telugu. Telugu and other language was Kannada. Kannada, Karnataka. Telugu and Kannada parts of Andhra. तो ये विजयनगर एम्पायर कहलाया with its capital at Vijayanagara. तो विजयनगर was the capital of Karnataka Samrajyamu, commonly referred to as Vijayanagar Empire. तो विजयनगर एम्पायर and the capital city was also named Vijayanagar, a city of victory. Vijay, victory, Nagar, city, a city of victory. And this Vijayanagar Empire, we have recovered ruins of Vijayanagara Empire at a place in Karnataka called Hampi, Hampi, Hampi. So Vijayanagar Empire founded in the year 1336 and continued till 1565. 1336 till 1565, and founded by Hariharan Bukka, who belonged to a dynasty called Sangama dynasty. तो इस पूरे दौरान चार राज परिवारों और उनके लोगों ने रूल किया. फर्स्ट वन वाज नोन एज संगम डायनेस्टी, followed by Saluva, third one was Tuluva, and fourth one was Aravidu dynasty. And the most prominent, the most famous ruler of Vijayanagar Empire was the king or Raya Krishna Dev Raya, belonged to third dynasty called Tuluva dynasty. So 1336 established by Hariharan Bukka, and 1565 attacked and defeated by the Dakkani Sultans. दक्कनी सुल्तान्स ने एक लड़ाई में कॉल्ड बैटल ऑफ तालीकोटा नेम ऑफ अ प्लेस, बैटल ऑफ तालीकोटा, और राक्षस तांगड़ी, बैटल ऑफ तालीकोटा और राक्षस तांगड़ी. ऐसे शुरुआत हुई इसकी. 1336 टाइम किसका है? मोहम्मद बिन तुगलक. तो ये चार डायनेस्टीज है, संगमा, सालुवा, तुलुवा, आराविडु, एंड द लास्ट वन वाज आराविडु. And this Aravidu dynasty and entire Karnataka Samrajyamu empire was eliminated in a combined attack. The Dakkani Sultans, they came together, they formed an alliance against the ruler of Aravidu dynasty, and they invaded and they destroyed the Vijayanagara city, sacked and destroyed the Vijayanagara city, and Vijayanagara empire had come to an end in 1565. पूरे शहर को तहस नहस करके रख दिया दक्कनी सुल्तान्स के कंबाइंड अटैक में इन्वेडर्स ने। ठीक है, तो यहां से शुरुआत हो रही है 1336 और 1565 तक ये कंटिन्यू एग्जिस्ट कर रहा है। और इसका रुइंस मैंने बोला कहां से मिला है, हम्पी इन कर्नाटका, HAMPI, हम्पी। देखिए, रुइंस ऑफ कर्नाटका साम्राज्यमु के सब हम्पी से, HAMPI, हम्पी कर्नाटका, इसके सब खंडर वंडर या कुछ मंदिर, काफी सारे मंदिर तो बचे हुए प्रोटेक्टेड मिले, कुछ रूइंड, कुछ डिस्ट्रॉयड ड्यूरिंग द इन्वेजन ऑफ द सुल्तान्स ऑफ द दक्कन, लाइक बीजापुर, अहमदनगर, गोलकुंडा, वो सब मिल गए, एक हो गए और अटैक कर दिया। ठीक है, ये सब साइट है, कभी घूमने जाइएगा, सब मिलेगा, दिखेगा। और इसको खोजने वाले थे कॉलिन मैकेंजी in 1800. So Hampi, discovery of Hampi was made in the 1800 by Colin मैकेंजी। ठीक है, और उनके कुछ इंडियन साथी, देखिए ये रहे पेंटिंग में कॉलिन मैकेंजी और उनके साथ के लोग सब अपना पूरा दूरबीन लेकर के दिखाई दे रहे हैं। तो इन्हीं ने, कॉलिन मैकेंजी ने ही ये पता लगाया था कि यहाँ पे जो रुइंस हैं वो ढूंढा उन्होंने, सब मिट्टी मिट्टी से ढका हुआ था, साफ किया गया, हटाया गया, तो हम्पी नजर आया फिर कर्नाटक में। देखिए, रायास, नायकास एंड सुल्तान्स। रायास मीन्स द किंग्स ऑफ कर्नाटका साम्राज्यमु और विजयनगर एम्पायर। नायकास मीन्स लॉर्ड्स और फ्यूडल लॉर्ड्स of the Rayas and Sultans of the Dakkani kingdoms like Bijapur, Golconda, Ahmednagar, Berar, Bidar। वो जो बहमनी एम्पायर बना 1347 में, वो आगे चल के बहमनी एम्पायर came to be collapsed or fragmented into 5 sultanates, smaller states like Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Golconda, Bidar and Berar। So Rayas, Nayakas and Sultans. Rayas means the kings of Vijayanagar Empire. Nayakas means lords or subordinates of Rayas, and Sultans or the rulers of the Dakkani Sultanate। So write this heading and meanings of these technical terms: Rayas, Nayakas and Sultans। ठीक है, तो राया means kings of Vijayanagar Empire, like Krishna Dev Raya, Ram Raya. Okay, Nayakas, subordinates of the Rayas, उनके अधीन, like military commanders, military commanders. तो ये सब देख रहे हैं, सब ruins हैं. ये मार्केट प्लेस है, मार्केट प्लेस ऑफ द दिल्ली, सॉरी, Vijayanagar Empire, marketplace at Hampi, discovered by Colin Mackenzie in 1800. Okay. और ये हाथियों को रखने का जगह, ये क्या बोलते हैं, हस्तिशाला, गजशाला. okay. गज मीन्स हाथी, हस्ती हाथी. okay. तो ये रहा मार्केट, मार्केट प्लेस सामान वामान बेचने के लिए. फिर ये गजशाला, हाथियों को रखने का. और इधर देखिएगा रॉयल सिंबल ऑफ विजयनगर एम्पायर. सन, मून, a sword, and a boar, Varah, moon, sun, sword. ठीक है, पत्थर पे खोदे गए इनके राज चिन्ह है, रॉयल सिंबल. Royal symbol of Vijayanagar Empire. So sun, 4 symbols: sun, moon, a sword, and a boar or vara. इसको लिखिएगा, रॉयल सिंबल ऑफ विजयनगर एम्पायर: सन, मून, sword and boar और वरा. लिखा? ये देखिए, ये मून, क्रिसेंट, इनफैक्ट sword, boar, sun. ये पत्थर पे जो बना था वो देखा. एरिया, territory under the rule of these kings or rayas of Vijayanagar Empire. And factual informations about the foundation. Harihar and Bukka founded the empire in 1336 when this territory, South India, was under the rule of Muhammad bin Tughlaq. But this part of his Sultanate was taken out of the control of the Delhi Sultanate when Harihar and Bukka founded this Vijayanagara empire or Karnataka साम्राज्य and contemporary rulers including the sultans of the Dakkans and गजपतिस of ओडिशा। ठीक है, ओडिशा में गजपति हुआ करते थे और इधर सुल्तान्स और इधर हो गए विजयनगर के रायास। And all of them they fought against each other for the rich fertile tract of Krishna and Tungabhadra। तो ये कृष्णा और तुंगभद्रा नदियों के बीच का जो फर्टाइल ट्रैक्ट था ना, उसको लेकर के आपस में लड़ते भिड़ते रहते थे। तीन पक्ष हैं इसमें, उड़ीसा के गजपति, विजयनगर के रायास और दक्कन के सुल्तान्स। So they fought against, every time they fought against each other। रायास, गजपतिस and sultans of the Deccan. They fought against each other mainly for Krishna, Tungabhadra, Doab and for other resources। Okay, so we are about to complete our batch, this online batch of history, optional, and we are left with one or two scattered topics to be discussed or to be completed, but I won't be discussing scattered topics, so I have to complete our own, and would like to provide some handouts or notes, handwritten and sometimes printed notes। तो कुछ कुछ टॉपिक्स आपको खुद भी करना होगा, मैं आपको बता दूंगा, इंस्ट्रक्ट कर दूंगा ग्रुप पे। ठीक है, so Harihar and Bukka founded the empire in 1336। So then contemporary rulers including the sultans of the Deccan and Gajpatis of Odisha, they fought for lucrative sea trade and fertile tract of Krishna and Tungabhadra। तो जो लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस ट्रेड हो रहा ना, वो लॉन्ग डिस्टेंस ट्रेड के लिए भी आपस में फाइट कर रहे हैं। Kings and traders, so the sultans, rayas and subordinates of the rayas called nayakas and gajpatis of Odisha, so all these kings and sultans of the Dakkans, they were engaged in import of horses from Arabia and Central Asia for their army, and this trade was a very important one because hot and humid climatic condition of peninsular India was not favorable for the breeding of horses। तो ज्यादातर मामलों में इंपोर्ट घोड़ों का होता था। बेस्ट क्वालिटी हॉर्सेस they had imported and procured from Arabia and Central Asia। So and this horse trade was initially controlled by Arab traders, but later on Arab traders were replaced by the traders of South India, peninsular India, called horse traders in particular, called कुडीरे चट्टीज। कुडीरे मतलब होता है घोड़ा, कुडीरे, कुडूरे, कुडीरे। चट्टीज मतलब ट्रेडर, घोड़ों के व्यापारी, हॉर्स ट्रेडर्स, और कुडीरे चट्टे। The import of horses from Arabia and Central Asia was very important for royal kingdoms and for their army, and trade was initially controlled by Arab traders, but later on Arabs were replaced in local communities of merchants. Arab traders were replaced by local communities of merchants who were known as Kudire Chettis or horse merchants, and they also participated in these mercantile activities। And from 1498, Portuguese also appeared on the scene to get their own share of this profitable or lucrative trade, who arrived on the west coast of the peninsular India subcontinent and attempted to establish themselves as foremost traders, trading and military stations. तो पोर्चुगल को पुर्तगालियों को बेनिफिट मिल रहा था बिकॉज ऑफ अ गन कॉल्ड मस्कट जो इन्होंने इन्वेंट किया हुआ था। तो पुर्तगाली शुरुआत में जहां जाते थे छा जाते थे बिकॉज ऑफ देयर मस्कट्स। वो फायर करते थे गन से, दूर से ही मार गिराते थे। कि तो फ्रॉम 1498 ये सब लिखते रहिएगा। पोर्चुगीज ऑल्सो अपीयर्ड ऑन द सीन who arrived on the west coast of Indian subcontinent and attempted to establish trading and military stations. And their superior military technology, especially the use of muskets, enabled them to become important players in the politics while they started interfering into the local affairs of the rulers of peninsular India. So note down these points. Import of horses from Arabia and Central Asia, and trade was initially controlled by Arab traders. The local communities of merchants called Kudire Chettis or horse merchants. And from 1498, Vasco da Gama, in this particular year, 1498, Vasco da Gama of Portugal landed at Calicut. Okay, Calicut is now Kozhikode. Okay. And attempted to establish trading and military station. Their superior military technology of the Portugal, especially the use of गन, फायर करने वाले गन, बंदूकें, मस्कट्स, enabled them to become important players in the politics of South India or Peninsular India. लिखा? विजयनगर was also noted for its मार्केट। देखिए साउथ इंडिया तो स्पाइसेस का तो होगा ही होगा ट्रेड, स्पाइसेस, textiles, mainly cotton and silk, and from their ocean they had procured precious and semi-precious stones. सब लिखिएगा, सारे पॉइंट्स इंपॉर्टेंट है बहुत। टेक्सटाइल में भी दो तरीके का होगा ना टेक्सटाइल में, एक तो हो जाएगा जानते हैं पहले से, चोलाज में भी यही था, कॉटन हो जाएगा और दूसरा सिल्क। स्पाइसेस में खासकर ब्लैक पेपर। और समुद्री मोती, पर्ल, पर्ल प्रोडक्शन तो पूरा कोस्टल एरियाज में हो रहा है, खासकर मदुरा। ठीक है। और ट्रेड, so trade was often regarded as status symbol for such cities, and in Indian handicraft industry, South Indian handicraft industry mainly catered to the needs of elite class, such as precious stones and jewelry. तो elite क्लास में जेम्स एंड ज्वेलरीज को लेकर के, स्टोन्स, प्रीशियस, सेमी प्रीशियस स्टोन्स को लेकर के बड़ा फैसिनेशन था, बड़ा शौक था। तो स्टेटस सिंबल, तो ये सारे ट्रेडर्स स्टेटस सिंबल को, उस जो इलीट क्लास के रिक्वायरमेंट्स होते थे उनको पूरा किया करते थे। So trade was often regarded as status symbol for such cities, and cater to the needs of elite class, such as precious stones and gems and jewelries. And revenue derived from trade. So Rayas, sultans of the Deccan, Gajpatis of Odisha, they derived or they extracted revenue from trade and thus contributed significantly to the prosperity of the state. So South India state, or in fact we are talking about Vijayanagar Empire, Karnataka Samrajyam was a prosperous state because of its trade, significant amount of trade, and the Rayas, they derived revenue, huge amount of revenue from such a lucrative, such a profitable trade. Vijayanagar Empire, Vijayanagar Kingdom, and the capital city Vijayanagara has been mentioned or had been mentioned by foreign rulers like European travelers, the Arab travelers, and they had described the magnificence of Vijayanagar city. So it seems, because of their descriptions, it seems that Vijayanagar city was really a very prosperous and a beautiful and one of the biggest city of the world at that time, as per description of foreign writers. Okay. Revenue derived from trade, in turn, contributed significantly to the prosperity of the state. Okay. The apogee and decline of the empire, the highest point and decline. So, as I said to you earlier, this empire or kingdom was founded in 1336 by Harihar and Bukka, two brothers who belong to very first dynasty of this empire called Sangama dynasty, and continued till 1565. Okay. Okay, first dynasty founded by Harihar and Bukka and known as the Sangama dynasty. Exercised control from 1336 till 1485, a longer period of time. Then they were supplanted by the Salua, replaced by the Salua military commanders who Narsingh Salua was the military commander who had replaced the Sangamai dynasty, and Salua remained in power till 1503 when they were replaced by Tuluas. And Krishnadev Raya belonged to Tuluva dynasty, was characterized by expansion and consolidation, and acquired the lands between Krishna and Tungabhadra rivers. The rulers of Odisha were defeated, subdued, and several defeats were inflicted on the sultans of Bijapur. So it seems that, and it clearly seems that Krishnadev Raya was the most influential, powerful ruler of this Vijayanagar empire. So at first point, the first dynasty founded by Harihar and Bukka and known as the Sangama dynasty exercised control from 1336 till 1485. Second point, so they were supplanted by the Salua military commanders. Okay. Founder was Narsingh Salua. And third one, Krishnadev Raya. है ना? ये लिखिएगा. Okay, तो first dynasty Sangama, the second dynasty Salua dynasty, Krishnadev Rai, the most famous ruler of Vijayanagar Empire, belonged to third dynasty Tuluva, and he was and this during this time empire was characterized by expansion and consolidation. And Krishnadev Raya acquired lands between Krishna and Tungabhadra rivers. So every time they fought for this Doab existing between Krishna and Tungabhadra, and the rulers of Odisha were Gajpatis of Odisha were defeated, subdued, and Sultan of Bijapur was also defeated by Krishnadev Raya. Okay, third point. सारे पॉइंट नोट डाउन करिएगा. All these points are very very important. और fourth point लिखिएगा. Strengths began to show after the death of Krishnadev Raya in 1529, and his successors were troubled by rebellious Nayaka or military commanders. तो नायक मिलिट्री कमांडर्स हुआ करते थे, उन्होंने विद्रोह कर दिया, रिबेलियस हो गए. और फोर्थ डायनेस्टी कृष्णदेव राय का तुलुवा डायनेस्टी रिप्लेस हो गया, और उसकी जगह पे फोर्थ एंड लास्ट डायनेस्टी विच केम टू पावर कॉल्ड Aravidu dynasty. So Sangama, Salua, Tuluva and Aravidu dynasty. So strains began to show after the death of Krishnadev Raya in 1529. His successors were troubled by rebellious Nayakas or military chiefs. By 1542, control at the center had shifted to another ruling lineage, ruling family or dynasty, that of the Aravidu. ये चौथा और आखिरी है, Aravidu. तो आराविडूस तो खींच खाच के 17th सेंचुरी तक गए और 1565 में तो ये कोलैप्स ही कर गए। बाकी वो छोटे छोटे एरियाज में नायका रूलर्स ने अपना अपना छोटे छोटे किंगडम बना लिया था। सो एन अलायंस ऑफ द सुल्तान्स ऑफ बीजापुर, गोलकुंडा एंड अहमदनगर, वो सब मिलके एक हो जाते हैं अगेंस्ट द विजयनगर एम्पायर, अगेंस्ट द आराविडू रूलर नेम्ड राम राया। तो आराविडू राम राया ने क्या किया, वो दक्कन के सुल्तानों को आपस में लड़ाने लगा और वो धीरे धीरे समझ गए कि आपस में लड़ा रहा है, तो सब मिलके एक हो गए और राम राय के अगेंस्ट में अटैक कर दिया। तो एन अलायंस ऑफ द सुल्तान्स ऑफ बीजापुर, गोलकुंडा एंड अहमदनगर कॉस्ट डाउनफॉल ऑफ विजयनगर एम्पायर एट तालीकोटा, तालीकोटा also known as Rakshasi Tangadi in 1565. ये लिखिएगा। Apogee and decline of the Vijayanagar Empire. ठीक है, तो इतने पे हम लोग इसको डिसकंटिन्यू कर रहे हैं आज। कल इसको हम लोग कंप्लीट कर देंगे और फिर कुछ स्कैटर्ड टॉपिक्स जो होंगे मैं ग्रुप में आपको बता दूंगा आपको क्या कुछ खुद से करना है। तो मोस्ट प्रोबेबली कल हम लोग ये बैच कंक्लूड कर देंगे। ठीक है, और एक मिडिवल इंडियन हिस्ट्री का सोशियो इकोनॉमिक कंडीशन का मैं एक आपको हैंड रिटन जेरोक्स दूंगा, हैंड रिटन ग्रुप में डाल दूंगा। ठीक है, और वो आप लोग उसको पढ़ करके अपने क्लास नोट्स में, सीजीएस में आप नोट्स बनाते हैं, इसी में अटैच कर लीजिएगा। ठीक है, ठीक है, तो ये चलिए इसको देखते हैं, हम लोग कल कंप्लीट कर लेंगे हम लोग इसे मोस्ट प्रोबेबली। चलिए आज के लिए इतना रहने देते हैं। थैंक यू सो मच।